right, good morning, sports fans. Welcome to 401 Sports World Network. Make sure you follow us on 401 Sports World Network on YouTube. Also, make sure you follow us on TikTok at Mr. 411, MisterFourOneone. Same thing on Instagram. And make sure you follow Brooks, the show, on BR underscore case on all his social media platforms. In the building today is the aforementioned Brooks, the showcase, and our triple option OG, Coy. And so, man, another great
What
week.
up?
Glad to have. What up, Coy? Good thing to have these gentlemen on. And we're going to dive into week three of the college football scene. Man, week three, which I anticipated it being kind of a dry week, actually turned out to be an interesting week, which is going to set the table for future matchups. And so we'll get into that, ladies and gentlemen. So our first game that we're going to discuss, um, which was a shocker, the Georgia Bulldogs and the Kentucky Wildcats. Final score there is 13-12. It was kind of like a high scoring baseball game here, 13-12. But Georgia did save, they did save the game with the victory, uh, scoring late in there. And we'll throw some of the statistics up there with Carson Beck with a we would call it pedestrian performance there. But and also Kentucky, man, they controlled the clock, total first downs, things like that, but they still did not get the victory. So, gentlemen, uh, I can't wait to hear what you all have to say about this one.
I'll go first and let Brooks finish up. Um, the same thing I said about Georgia is that their offense is kind of slow and go. I mean, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And this particular week, it wasn't there. But yes, it was a close game. It was a nail biter because Georgia offense didn't go. But I look at the game like this: Georgia defense soundly put Kentucky's offense in place. So even though it was a tight game, I never really felt like Kentucky was in control of the game or that could now yes Kentucky can win because Georgia wasn't scoring any points, but I never really
Mhm.
felt like this was a game that Kentucky was going to win just because
Oh, Corey, you still there?
it was
Corey,
better.
man, caught him. Okay, Corey, you went out for just like about 12 seconds, so you might want to repeat some of that.
I get it that everybody the game was tight and it was close, blah 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 blah. But I never really felt like Kentucky was going to win this game. I just felt like it was a poor offensive performance from Georgia, more so than anything. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about 2 seasons ago, Georgia's first road game was at Missouri, uh, and that was a tight one. One season, last season it was at Auburn, right? The first SEC road game, and that was tight, right? So this has kind of been a theme over the past few seasons. The first SEC, and Kirby mentioned this in the post game interview. The first SEC road game. I think we've had trouble matching the energy. Being the number one team in the nation, one of the top teams in the nation for the past 3 4 seasons. When you go on the road, these teams are hype. This is their main, their big game. This is their main opponent. So I think Georgia definitely had trouble matching the energy of Kentucky, and I think Georgia paid a little too much attention to that South Carolina game. I think they saw South Carolina just embarrass Kentucky, and I think that made a play a factor too. I think they might have underestimated this Kentucky team. Um, and I'll say like South Carolina's defensive line, defensive front is a problem. And they made that Kentucky offensive line look bad last week. So I think some of that played into it as well. Because Kentucky, both lines, lines of scrimmage, they held up, and they were able to run the ball. Not like they didn't gash us or anything, but they were getting 4 or 5 yards consistently. And, they made Carson Beck uncomfortable as far as their defensive line. But, looking at this, if you want to upset a good team, right, you can't kick field goals. You got to score touchdowns. And that was basically the takeaway. Kentucky settled for field goals. They couldn't punch it in the end zone. You're not gonna spring an upset if you don't score touchdowns. Georgia was able to get that one touchdown, and that was it because their defense, it was kind of bend but not break. They gave up yardage, but they didn't give up a touchdown. And in the day, you got to score touchdowns.
No.
So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. So that's that, man. I mean, 13-12. Again, Kentucky. You would think if you just look at some of those team statistics, that they should have been up by 21. You know what I mean? But again, the Georgia defense definitely had a lot to say about that. And I know Coy mentioned that earlier, as well as you, Brooks. There, that if you're gonna get an upset, you gotta do more than just kick field goals. They had all the other things break their way. And so, man, that was a close one there.
I mean, I also
Go
mentioned
ahead.
they had to kick
Mhm.
two 50-yarders to get to 12 points.
Touche. Yep.
They
Yep.
had to kick two 50-yarders, and 3 minutes left in the game, and they don't go for it. Like, come on, man! Like you already
Yeah.
lost. You already lost an SEC game. You know, you want to do the upset. Go for it. There was no reason he should have punted that ball. You know, he has to go for it there. That was I thought that was an idiotic call not to go for it.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, we're currently discussing the Georgia Kentucky game. I want to give a shout out to Joe Owens. Appreciate Joe for tuning in. He has his popcorn ready and eyes on the screen. So we definitely appreciate Joe Owens. And hey, man, sometimes we drop a line, and if you message us, we may drop a line and add you in. So we're always welcome to join our show. Cole from the Low is in the house. He's an Alabama Christian Tide fan, but I'm sure he had his eye on this game. Cole, good morning, and what was your thoughts on the Georgia Kentucky game?
Good morning, fellas. Thoughts on Georgia and Kentucky game. Once again, week two, Georgia did not like a number one team. Keep saying every week they don't like a number one team. SEC team. Kentucky, surprisingly, I agree with Mr. Brooks. They did not put the ball in the end zone, and sometimes you can win games like that. We've seen that with the Steelers and the Falcons in the NFL this past weekend. You can win off field goal, but when you play a team that is highly ranked and you want to have the upset, you have to put the ball in the end zone. Even if it's one time, you put the ball in the end zone one time, you lost 13-12. You'll be up 6 points, 5 points. You'll take that win. You get the upset, but you have to put the ball in the end zone. Um, Kentucky turnovers cost them a lot. Costly fumbles. Brock Vandergoff, he had a great first half, but when it came into that second half, fumbling the ball, getting the ball ripped out, the D line and the O line getting pressure, D line getting to Brock Vandergoff. They have to protect him more if you want to get to that second half and cause that upset. The receivers and running backs, they started to fumble the ball, even though they recovered their own fumbles. You still putting yourself in badly in poor situations and not putting the ball in the end zone. Van Gogh was held to under 100 yards in that second half. When you having that kind of game and you trying to progress to upset number one team, you got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. Surprisingly, Kentucky did play a great game though. You see stats right here. Carson Beck, he was held on 200 yards. Trevor Etienne, he did go to the locker room for a little while, but he was held under 100 yards. Levette, great game, 6 receptions, 89 yards. But overall, story of this, you have to put the ball in the end zone when you want to beat, and I put quotation marks around this, the number one team in America.
yeah,
Let me
a
ask y'all.
couple.
Let me ask a
Good.
question. Sorry to interrupt,
No, you're good.
but if would you consider a team number one that scores 21 points, but all their opponents under 14? that holds all their opponents on the 14 points, or do you need that bonus of whenever they play a weaker team, they got to blow them out?
It's not necessarily when you play a weaker team you have to blow them out, but I do want to see if okay, when you look at a number one team, example Ohio State, every time they play an opponent, it's something about them that look like they are number one team, some kind of dominance, some kind of showcase. When
So
you
you
look at
want
those
to
guys,
show.
yes, when you look at those guys, these guys looks like they not gonna play. Every time I look at Georgia in that first half, why they ranked number one? That second
Uh,
half, I
no,
want to take it from them. They look great in that second half. They play like they the best team in the NFL in that second half. But that first half they look terrible. And sooner or later, that first half gonna leak into that second half, and it's gonna bite them in the butt, and they're gonna lose to a team they have no business losing to.
I'm gonna go back to the '92 Alabama national championship team.
So your
Right?
A, go ahead.
If you won't remember, but if you watch that season,
I wasn't born.
Alabama just beat people and played defense all year long. Brock,
Hmm.
TJ, you remember or whatever, and nobody
Yep.
really thought they were that dominant of a team. Matter of fact, they didn't think they deserved to be the number team in the country and go play Miami in the Orange Bowl or whatever until that game happened. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, I get it because everything is built off of polls and blah 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 blah. You kind of got to impress the polls. Chicks dig the long ball or whatever. But if
That's Shannon Sharp.
Georgia Georgia choke out a team like Kentucky, it's not glamorous. Whatever. At the end of the day, me personally, I don't think they. I never thought they were going to lose the game. I'm just being honest. I just like, oh, they're off today. Okay, fine. But they choked them on out because they never
They
really
off every
lost
day.
control of the game. Huh?
They off every week.
Fine.
Well,
Good, Kobe.
well, going back to what you was asking on that question, Cole, it used to be that way, way back in the day, where you needed to win, you needed to have a put on a show performance because it really came down to just the votes to who plays in that national championship or what have you. I think over time, since they started implementing that BCS era and now the playoff era and things like that, you really only have to put on the show just if you're one of those teams on the border trying to get in a playoff spot. I think Georgia probably got this number one ranking because of their recruiting, players coming in, and then based off what happened the previous year, add putting those two things together. And I guess at this point, all they have to do is just win games. Uh, Worst case, they would drop to number two if they didn't lose a game all season. And so, and what you're saying, the eye test, I would definitely, yeah, I would raise a couple eyebrows about it, because this is a team that Georgia was 24 and a half favorite, and then going into this game and to win it with a baseball score, it should raise questions. But at the same time, their defense uh, has stayed at that number one. If you're going to say they're number one team in the nation, at least defensively, you can kind of say that. Brooks, you was about to say something. What was it?
I was going to say a couple of notes about this game. There could have been, this game could have turned out way differently. There was that play where I think Lovett caught the ball popped up, and they returned it for a touchdown, and they ruled it was incomplete. That was a big play in the game. I think that could have really changed the tide of this game if they had that pick six. The other thing I was going to mention is, there was a play in the second half where we tackled the quarterback, and they said we drove him into the ground. I think that's one of those things. Like, how can a defensive lineman, sack a quarterback and not drive him into the ground? That's one of those rules. I get if you leave your feet, and you kind of like put all your weight. I get those type of calls, but man, I look at that play over and over again. I just don't see anything wrong with it. And that was a costly play. 'Cause I believe that was third down. Um,
Well, I want you to make sure you send me that play because send it to our the behind the scenes studio because I'm gonna have an episode. There's a show that we have on here called Make It Official, and so I have a college football official come on and break that play down because I
okay.
have questions about that, and also I'm gonna have questions about the call in the South Carolina LSU game as well. So yeah, make sure you get that
Yeah.
to me, Brooks.
Yeah, but I mean, just mentioning, I mean, the rankings to me, like the AP poll, I don't care if Georgia drops. I mean, at the end of the day, good teams, they're not going to you don't bring your A game every week. It's just a fact. So there's going to be weeks where you struggle, maybe against a lesser opponent. Um, but good teams, when they don't have their A game, they still find ways to win, right? And that's what this team did. And another note, like if Kirby Smart has a defense that he trusts, like he doesn't mind going conservative, kicking field goals, running the ball. Like he's not going to try to run up the score like that. It's just that's his mentality. It always has been. If he has a defense that clearly, they were bending a little bit, but Kentucky didn't sniff the end zone. So I mean, I think that factors into it. If he trusts his defense, and he could go a little conservative because he knows he can trust that defense. I mean, that's another thing to kind of keep when you're thinking about like style points and such. I mean, I don't think Kirby worries about that. Especially like I said, this defense hasn't given up a touchdown yet. So when you think about his play calling, you think about maybe being a little too conservative. I mean, you got to put that in mind. Like this team hasn't given up a touchdown. So.
Okay.
Question.
All right. Well, go ahead, Coach.
Mr. Brooks, I do agree with you about the play calling. I don't like that rule either. I do agree with you there. But style points and etc. Let me ask you this. You said that a team doesn't bring their A game every week, which I can't agree on that point. You're not gonna come and have a great game every single week. Lesser opponent, top 3 opponent. You might have some struggles where I do agree on that. I'm not gonna sit here and be biased towards Georgia and say they're not. But my question goes into when you're a Georgia team, and my whole statement is they have a wishy-washy first half. They come out, they lock in second half. When does that affect when you have a great first half and a great second half? Because you're what 1-5 against Alabama. Last time you played Ohio State, you scraped through. You have Texas in the SEC now. When does Georgia come in and have a good first half and second half? Because when you go against teams like that, you lose with them first half and don't stay in that game. That second half, that team will take over. So when does Georgia come? That's my question. When they act like a number 1 team and actually play like a number 1 team for the first and second half?
Kobe, I'll answer this question like this: How many national championships have Georgia had in the last 4 years?
That doesn't part of my statement.
I'm just asking. You said when do they play like a number 1 team?
You said the
asking.
last 4. Look, you said last 4. You have what 2?
Okay, then. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so hold on. You're gonna classify the last 4 years, really? You could at least say 10 years. Like, okay, the last 4 years. Okay, and that's the case. In the last 4 years, they actually like a number 1 team. The only time I did not think they're like a number 1 team, in my opinion, was last year. That's my only time I did not think they were like a number 1 team.
My point
and that was
being
Michigan.
is,
I said from day 1 to the end of the championship, the number 1 team in my eyes was the Michigan Wolverines. And who won the national championship last year, Calvin?
Michigan Wolverines.
The Michigan Wolverines. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying who won the year before. But you brought up Ohio
Ooh,
State.
they
You brought up
beat
the
a
losses.
TCU team that
You
no
wait.
one
Hold
cared about.
on. You brought up Ohio State. You brought up them 1-5 against Bama, and then all. So that's basically the last 4 years, correct?
Correct. Well,
And
last year,
so my answer.
also
Hold
added
on.
that Texas came into the SEC.
Hold on. So my question was, with the information you gave me, was what did Georgia do in that time period that you brought up those games?
No,
And
that
the answer
wasn't my
was win 2
question.
national championships. My point to you being is, it's gonna be like any other team until it goes 3-4 years, and the expectation is national championship every year, and they don't get a national championship. One or two things gonna happen: they're gonna change their philosophies, or they're gonna change coaches.
But that's not my question, though. My question was, and I'm going back to Mr. Brooks here, Calvin. My question was, when do Georgia play like a number 1 team? Once again, you scrape by Ohio State. They'll miss a field goal. You're not in the national championship against TCU. You're 1-5 against Bama. The only time you beat Bama was in the national championship. When and now you and I only adding Texas because how Texas is looking this year, and it also is an SEC opponent now. So when do you look great for the first and second half to beat a top ranked team, or are the doubts and worries coming in?
Yeah, I mean, playing a complete game. I mean, there's dangerous trends you could fall into. Like if this team was, if a team has a habit of getting in holes in the first half, like getting down double digits or something, and fighting back in the second half and winning. I mean, that's a dangerous trend that you could get burned by. Sure. Yeah, you can't argue with the record against Alabama. That's been the Achilles heel. Uh, basically we've beaten every team but Alabama. So I mean, yeah, that's an Achilles heel, and you know, um, I'm more of a I get the point of being consistent first and second half, but you know, this team has made a habit of making second half adjustments, wearing down opponents with their physicality in the second half and taking over. And you can't argue with the results. I mean, there's an Achilles, there's little things you can nitpick at, sure, uh, but that's been the kind of formula. A lot of these games is second half adjustments, wearing them down, and they did that to Kentucky as well. You saw we started to run the ball in the second half, and that's what being able to run the ball. ETN was started to find some space, and once we did that's how we kind of grabbed control back of the game. That's how we drove down and scored the touchdown. So I get what you're saying. There's definitely valid points. You don't want to make it a habit of keeping teams in the game longer than they should, but you can't argue with the results of it. This is a team that hasn't lost very much, so.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay.
The valid points, Nate.
Yeah. Hey man, this was very good conversation. And this is what I meant by week three giving us something that we wasn't expecting for this week. It brought up all this great discussion because Georgia and Alabama are going to face each other in 2 weeks, and this type of performance does raise questions. And speaking of that, Alabama, let's get to them. Alabama versus Wisconsin. You would think on the surface, if you wasn't really into college football, you say, "Oh man, Alabama on the road against a up in Wisconsin. This should be the game of the week." If you just but if you're deep into it, Wisconsin's not what they used to be. But still going to play in this environment, uh, I think it's a good tune-up opportunity for Alabama. 42-10 there. You see Milrow with 5 total touchdowns, looking impressive. And Alabama also, this is the 53 straight games versus unranked non-conference opponents. We'll start with Brooks, and then we'll go with Cole and Coy on their thoughts of this game.
Yeah, Milrow was great in this game. He had really good. He had some really good deep throws. Um, yeah, I mean the thing that I want to point out about this game is that Tyler Van Dyke, the starting quarterback, uh, their first drive was they looked good on the first drive on offense. Got down and kicked a field goal. He started out 5 for 5, and that hit on the sideline took him out. I mean, you got to wonder. This is a kind of a theme for Alabama. If you remember back a couple seasons ago with Texas, when they knocked Ewers out, when Ewers got hurt too, after having success and looking like Texas was going to spring the upset, and Ewers got hurt. It's kind of a theme. Not to the extent because Tyler Van Dyke got knocked out way earlier in the game than Ewers did. But interesting thing about what might have happened if Van Dyke stayed in the game. So he looked like he was definitely his backup definitely was not to his caliber. So I was thinking about that injury and how that kind of changed the shape of the game. But Miller was great with his legs and through the air, 196, averaged 11.5 yards per completion. So that I was telling you, he was throwing the ball downfield. Also had 75 yards rushing, 3 TDs in the air, 2 on the ground. I mean, he was impressive. Uh, so I mean, there's not much you can say after that injury, and they were hitting the quarterback hard too. They got some hits on the backup as well. Brandon Locke or Braden Locke. So they were they were laying in the wood on these quarterbacks. I'm surprised Locke Locke probably got little bumps and bruises as well, but impressive performance. Coming off that game with South Florida to come out and dominate on the road in Wisconsin, which is not that's not an easy place to play. And they took it to them. So impressive victory.
All right. Okay. Cool. Coy.
Who's me? Calvin.
I'll go first
Okay, go ahead.
because mine's gonna be quick. I still don't know. I still don't know. I'm 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 still I still don't have 100% faith in the quarterback, but I think that's just personal from last year. So we'll see.
Um, I think I would say this. I think Miro has improved way more as a quarterback. Now, in my opinion, is he a Carson Beck? Is he a Quinn Ewers? Is he a Cam Ward? I cannot give him that. I think his throwing ability has improved from last year, and he's making more capable throws, more better precise throws. That was my big question last year, but I still can't put him in the calibers of the Cam Wards, the Quinn Ewers, Carson Bates, even the Shador Sanders, because we can see how he made big time throws. I can't put him in that category. Now, if it was a different conversation with what he can do with his legs and extend plays as a quarterback, then I will put him in that conversation. But we're talking about just strictly throwing abilities. He's even though with me being a Bama fan, I can't show my bias of saying that
He can
he's
throw
one
a
of them
deep
top.
ball.
Yeah, he's one of them top caliber quarterbacks.
Yeah, he can throw a deep ball, but still the mid range and driving
And
down the
short passes
field,
and making them
15,
type of
10,
yeah,
5 yards out, looking for the third option, following the reads. I still
he's
don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I just
he doesn't have the complete game. I'm not gonna say he doesn't have the complete game, but what we've seen so far is this between a lower level of talent of play, or can he make this with a Georgia team, a Texas team, a Ohio State team? He also has questions that we have to figure out.
yeah,
Um,
the tight windows. I don't know if he can make all the throws in the tight windows.
yeah,
I don't, and I
when you have
no.
a better
I'm gonna say it like this: he's athletically, he has a strong enough arm, and he's a superb, superior athlete. But does he have everything as far as the
can he be a
athleticism,
complete quarterback? That's the
his
question.
mind?
Can he
Yeah,
be a
and
complete
can
quarterback?
he make those reads and can he make those decisions when the windows shrink?
Yeah,
So we'll
and
see.
we'll see that when you play a Georgia and gotta go get some Malachi starts with a Michael Williams straight in his face. Can he make them type of throw? That's when we gonna see that type of game. Overall though, dominant win. Bama's not the number one team in my eyes either, but this is how I like to see a team dominate. Um,
Oh God,
just saying. I'm gonna go support. Hey, I stand 10 toes behind my statements. Um, Wisconsin, even though like Mr. Foreman said, they're not the best team as we're used to seeing as in back of the day in some of the earlier times before even my time when I was a little kid, of the powerhouse they used to be. They did not play bad in the very beginning. They tried their best to stay there. They actually beat Bama secondary a couple times. The quarterback just missed a couple deep throws, missed a couple balls in the middle of the field. They had a fourth and goal where they scored their first touchdown, so they had plays where they could have got something going and could have put Bama in um a little bit of a chokehold. But Wisconsin just couldn't get that going, and eventually that Bama defense did get to them, and it turned into that Bama offense.
y'all are kidding me, right? Wisconsin is the same Wisconsin that they always are. They're a mid-tier Big 12 team. Every so often they'll pop up and make a run at the top 10 and then fall back to where they belong.
Hey,
Well,
They're gonna have some hogs up front and they're gonna come downhill and do a lot of play action. And depending on what caliber quarterback they got will depend on how they move in the ranks. That's been there for the last 40 years, pretty much. If I'm wrong, please prove me wrong.
well, that goes back to summarizing what we were saying about this one. Like it looks great on paper, the matchup and everything. But it's still again, it's good. It's good. I think it's good scheduling by Alabama, playing two winnable type of opponents, but that can give them a good fight. I don't know if a lot of y'all watch pro wrestling, but there's a guy called the Brooklyn Brawler, and back in his day, he didn't win many matches, but he gave everybody a tough fight, and so that he was like like a good gatekeeper to kind of see where you're at. And so those are the type of opponents that Alabama played thus far. And we'll see what happens. There's in 2 weeks, Alabama and Georgia will face off. So I can't wait to get you guys predictions on that matchup as we get closer. And by the way, on Damn Good Dogs, I'm certain that Brooks will have a lot to break down on that, and you guys are definitely welcome to join in. So everybody, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we do have a show called Damn Good Dogs led by Brooks to showcase as he dives deep into the Georgia football season. All right, let's get to some FCS scores here, and then we'll spin it back to the SEC because we need to talk about the LSU game. Mercer, all right, Mercer with a 10-3 victory over Chattanooga, and it was an impressive job by the Bears. And Brooks, you mentioned this earlier. Was there anything you want to kind of dive into with this
No, just on my radar, being Mercer in my hometown of Macon. So kept an eye on this. Is this is a relatively new Mercer program. Uh, and they've done a good job of building it. And this was a big win. This was a ranked on ranked matchup. I believe Chattanooga was 15 or so. 0-2 record, but they played two really tough teams, Georgia State and
one? Correct.
Tennessee. So
Right.
can't blame them for the 0-2 record coming in. But Mercer eked it out. I like the quarterback DJ Smith. He's a dual threat quarterback. Had some big runs, 12-17, so he was accurate. The Mercer defense holding them to 3 points. That was kind of the thing. They scored. They got that one touchdown, and that's really all they needed. So yeah, a good win. I think this Mercer team is one that's trying to get over the hump and beat the better teams. So this was a big win for them to get a win over Chattanooga and kind of first conference game of the year. So they're starting off strong, and it's good to see. They made the playoffs last year, so I think this is a program on the rise. So I'm just keeping my eye on the Mercer Bears.
Yeah. Actually, exactly, and we should. Like you said, it's a great job there, Mercer, bringing in football into the city, and putting together a good program. Nice stadium too, by the way, over there.
Oh, excellent stadium. Yeah.
Yep. In other FCS action, there's Jackson State. A lot of people familiar
Before
with
we leave
with the
the Mercer
school.
State, I mean not Mercer,
Okay.
the Mercer State, the Mercer game. Shout out to number 3, Isaac Dowling, Shiloh alumni, linebacker for them. Okay, you can go ahead, Mr.
Oh yeah, and go ahead, Cole, with that. What's the tie to that? Since you had to give a shout out to him.
Oh, that was my captain of the football team at Shiloh High School. His senior year, my junior year. Let me just not to stay away from your thunder, Mr. 4-1. Just a little story
Oh, you
right here.
good?
Isaac Dowling. So he was a senior. I was a freshman. His first 3 games, he played running back and played linebacker. Tore his ACL in 3 games. He didn't. He stayed with the program. He always gave me advice. He was a great captain, great leader. Even though he wasn't playing, he was at every practice, at every game. Still was able to go to Mercer. Now, I want to say he's a captain for Mercer, but maybe a captain for Mercer. I know he's a starting player.
Mm-hmm.
Great key player on that defense. I just want to say a big shout out and proud of him.
Oh no, that's very good, Cole. We appreciate that story, the insight there, with your former teammate, man, and that's what it's all about. That's really what college sports is about, right? Being able to get those social skills, become leaders on and off the field or a court of play, and that's what this is all about, perseverance. So for him to come back from his injuries and to play for a quality school and program like Mercer, that's very impressive. And great job by you by pointing that out. We definitely appreciate that, Cole.
And shout out to Isaac Prince as well. I really got a big story about him. He was my captain when I was a junior. So shout out to him as well.
All right. That's right. There's a pipeline there from your school. All right.
The
Okay.
Mercer
Very
Bears,
good.
baby. Mercer Bears, baby.
There it is. All right. And then in the Boombox Classic, Southern and Jackson State. This is a another FCS matchup. Actually, and in the SWAC conference. But this has always been a major matchup here. It's always attendance 32,027. I mean, like these type of numbers You don't see this in some of the FBS games with this type of crowd. But Jackson State did pull out the victory, 33-15 in Jackson, Mississippi. So they continue on with that rivalry. And as you can see there, Biden, who's come in he threw for a lot of yards. Now the 2 picks, that's something to look back at. But Jackson State is a passing offense. They do have TC Taylor, who was a former wide receiver, converted into quarterback when he played at Jackson State, and he also played for the New England Patriots. So he's doing a great job there, keeping the program rolling. And I'm hearing that they're getting some more recruits coming in, and so they're going to continue to air it out. That's kind of like going to be their theme moving forward, is in the passing game. All right, so there we have it with the FCS. We're going to roll this back now to the SEC. Before we talk about, oh, I'm sorry, here we go. We're going to do it right now. LSU and South Carolina, 33-36. Maybe we should have saw this coming based on South Carolina's previous week. But gentlemen, I'm passing the baton over to you guys. Corey, you can kick us off with this one, LSU and South Carolina.
Mr. Brooks, you can go next. I go last.
Somebody ain't gonna be in LSU too much longer. That's one. Two, I don't believe South Carolina's just that good. I believe LSU is playing flat. Good win at the end you managed to pull it off, but nothing about that win in LSU impressed me.
Oh man, what an entertaining game! I enjoyed watching this game. This was
Notice,
kind of
notice what Brooks said. This was entertaining, but
it was entertaining.
nothing.
Also, I had LSU +4 to complete my 3-game teaser, so I was
Okay.
I was very locked in on this game because it was kind of the last one going on. So, yeah, South Carolina had 2 picks. South Carolina should have won this game, by the way. South Carolina had 2 pick sixes that got called back on penalties. I don't even actually. I want to see this. LSU had 9 penalties for 75 yards. South Carolina had 13 penalties for 123 yards. There were 22 penalties in this game. Oh man, that's why I mean the pick sixes. The quarterback got hurt. They brought in the guy Robbie Ashford from Auburn, and if you follow Auburn, he's not it. He's an athlete. He can definitely make some plays, but just pure pocket pass. I mean, he's not a pure pocket passer. He can't just sit there and drop back and throw the ball. So that limited the South Carolina offense a little bit. LSU finally, this defensive front for South Carolina can generate pass rush. We saw it. I mean, they basically stopped throwing the ball last week in Kentucky. But what LSU did is they started to establish the run. Once they started to run the ball, how do you beat that? How do you beat a pass rush? You run the ball and you keep them on their toes. You keep it balanced. That way they can't pin their ears back and come and rush the passer. So once they started to run the ball, and they had 132 on the ground, Caden Durham really came on strong in that second half, and he had 2 TDs. But once they started to establish that run, that kind of that slowed that pass rush down. And I think Garrett Nussmeier is a pretty competent quarterback. He's accurate. He's if you give him time, he's a good quarterback. So that was the big thing about South Carolina. I thought the injury to the quarterback was Sellers was a tough break. But man, I just had you felt like South Carolina should have won this game.
You know what?
Both teams though. Both teams made too many mistakes. Both teams are not going to have, be at the top of the SEC playing like they played today.
That summarizes the game. That summarizes the game right there.
Entertaining game though.
You know what's historically funny about South Carolina? Ever since I can think of it, they produce running backs. The state of South Carolina, and they produce some dogs that get after the quarterback. There's always some for some reason you can always find if you want a next generation pro defensive lineman or edge rusher or someone like that, go to the state of South Carolina and you're gonna find you one of those two big teams there. You ever notice that?
Yeah,
They do have a history of that.
I don't know if it's because of Rock Hill, Somerville, and some of those schools in the Low Country, but
yeah.
they,
Trust me. I remember watching those games when they had Davion Clown. They were that was not fun. Not fun.
Yeah,
Clowney. Then
monster.
what was the other guy that was a tackle that ran like a damn running back? I can't even think of his name. He played a couple years in the league. Anyway, just it's always
Yeah.
something.
Well, I mean, it was tough there, and they even had a chance to win it late in the game. Even the backup came in, but he utilized his legs, got them in the field goal range, right at the edge of it.
They,
But
the play call. They had one more play to run before they had to kick the field goal, and they copped out and
yes,
ran the ball. And they kicked it. They
yeah,
settled for like a 50 something. What was it, like 49, 50 something yarder?
yeah.
Do like a quick strike, a quick out. Like get some more yardage there. Don't just run the ball. I mean, and give up. I thought that was an interesting choice play call for me. To me,
Yeah.
I got to throw the ball and try to get 6, 7, 8. That could have made all the difference. Because
Oh,
if
absolutely.
you look at both of his kicks, because they iced him for one, both of them kind of faded at the end. So if he was a little closer, maybe he would
It
have
would have
made it.
made it because he had the distance. The distance was not a
Yeah, this
problem.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This was not a problem. His leg is lively. It was strong kicks both times. Uh,
Yep, he's a good kicker.
yeah. All right. All right. Anything else before we leave that matchup?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. LSU and South Carolina would not be at the top of the SEC. LSU, my biggest thing about them is when games get tight or it comes down to it, is it just me or they kind of like fade away from their big time players, their game time players? Like for example, when they played USC, Kyron Lacey, arguably their best receiver, only got 2 targets, not 2 catches, 2 targets in the second half when he sat there and torched their first half in the USC. The same thing with the run game and the pass game going into this game right here against South Carolina. The LSU kind of like fades from their game time players and kind of like when something working, they go the other way and try to make something else work that was not working in the beginning. And I just don't understand that. And they got to work on that run game, defensive wise, run stop. Because every time somebody get a good run game going against LSU always gets in trouble.
Seeing a bad LSU defense is just weird to me. It's like I get my eyes checked. They gave up 243 rush yards.
Like,
I mean,
like,
it's just weird seeing a bad LSU defense. It's just
Bruh.
not something
like,
you
do anybody even know
associate with
who?
LSU.
Like, do anybody even know who wears number 7 now? Like, I remember like seeing number 7 on the field, and like you better fear that guy because if you have number 7, you was that guy on the field. Who even wears number 7 now?
Bruh, y'all don't understand. Y'all keep saying what you don't. The coach don't fit the mindset of the team. I'm gonna keep saying this.
No, I,
I don't
I,
think
I
he's a
agree with you
bad
there.
coach. I don't think he's a bad coach, but he's a bad fit. He just he would do better at I don't know
Florida
Tennessee.
State.
Nah.
He should have. He
Nah,
should have.
nah, 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 nah. No, I'm gonna do my
Honestly, he should have
volunteers
stayed
like
where
that.
he's
No,
at.
no, no,
He
no.
should have stayed where he was
Notre
at. I mean, I thought
Dame.
he was. I thought he was a good fit at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Notre Dame,
Notre Dame wanted
Tennessee.
him gone as soon as they can get him out of there. Nah, they wanted him gone from day one. Nah, he would never see Notre Dame field ever again.
Well, speaking of Notre Dame, they had a 66. They put up 66 on Purdue. So they bounced back in that one.
No
We'll
one cares.
see what
They
that does
lost.
for their confidence.
They lost against NIU. No one cares about what they do against Purdue. You had your
They're
chance,
gonna,
buddy.
they're definitely gonna throw that one out later on in the season and use that as a reason why they should be in the playoff. So don't forget that game against Purdue, people.
Don't worry. I ain't gonna forget the game against NIU. Keep them out. Keep them out. Give them that Florida State treatment.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to Hot Tub Tony.
Hot tub.
Um,
My name Tony.
Hot Tub Tony. Yep, Tony. His name is Tony, I guess, and he has a hot tub. And speaking of Tony, he'll be on in a few after this show. We're going to dive into the Tyreek Hill situation. And shout out to Jerry. Galloway. Big shout out to Jerry. He's up this morning, and he's a former football player as well. So I'm certain
Going with Galloway.
uh, he's certainly interested in what we having to say here on the college scene, and he'll be on as well. And so I can't wait to see to hear get their opinion on the Tyreek Hill situation, which follows this episode. All right, people. We just talked about coaches, and Corey, you mentioned LSU and their
Oh,
coach. What
good.
about Florida State? They continue. They're on with their streak of L's, and they fall to Memphis,
I'm going.
Can I
and
get
now
first?
that's two losses. Absolutely, and there's two losses here, and the two losses out of the three that they had thus far were against non-ranked opponents. Or was all three of them? People correct me on that. It seemed like all three of their losses was against non-ranked opponents, unless Boston College was ranked. I can't remember that, but
I
at
don't
least
know.
two out of three.
I think Boston College became ranked once they beat Florida State.
Okay, well there you go. So nonetheless, Florida State not only losing, but they're losing to non-ranked opponents. What
Let
are
me
you
ask you
guys on this?
this. I think I
Hold
saw.
on, Calvin. Mine's quick. Let me get this statement off. I just want to say, first of all, are we surprised? Second, you paid somebody to come to Florida just to lose in Florida. Third, Calvin, me and Mr. 41 told you since last year we don't care if them boys go undefeated. Them boys second and third string was trash. We told you that team was made up of a quarterback and a single man. When I gave you our personality and identity and game plan, I told you what Florida State was. Florida State was a one-man army, and that was with their quarterback, Jordan Travis. And guess what? Them boys going this season 0-3. They lose against Georgia. I don't care what undefeated last year. You showed me last year that when one man goes down and when it's time for the next man to step up, y'all next man don't have what it takes. And guess what? Now you 0-3 against a bunch of unranked teams that just came in your house and told y'all shouldn't be here. So Calvin, we told you, buddy.
What did you tell me?
That Florida State was not good. They should not be in the playoffs last year. They were going to be nothing this year.
That's two different subjects. First of all,
They know two different subjects. Hey, the
did
same
I
team
say
that had
Florida?
this year
Hold on.
is the same team from last year.
Are we having a conversation, or are we just going to listen to you pontificate?
A little bit of both.
I believe what I said last year was, no, I don't think Florida State's the better team. However, by the rules set in play, they were supposed to go to the game. That's all I said.
No. This is football. We don't go off supposed tos. We go off what team is better. Don't worry. I will pull up that clip from that episode of Triple Option.
Man, we appreciate that. All right, but yeah, Florida State guys. So what's your take there? They done? They officially done now?
What for two teams, Colorado and Florida State are bad football teams, and they get all this airtime. I am so tired of talking about these teams. They are both terrible. Okay, Colorado beat Colorado State yesterday. Congratulations, great win. But come on, I'm tired of talking about these two teams. They're both terrible. Okay, Colorado's 2-1. We know if they face any kind of caliber team, they're going to get smoked because they don't have the lines of scrimmage. Okay, and this Florida State team is just bad, just a really bad team. Mike Norvell he was at Memphis, and so he just lost to his own team. He left Memphis to come to Florida State, and then you lose to Memphis, so you're paying millions of dollars to play. I mean, just embarrassing.
At one point, if I'm not mistaken, they moved the game to take this game and pay Memphis $1.9 million.
Yes, and I think I saw a clip where it was a FSU practice and people were running by in the background with water guns. It's not a good look right now. I mean, you may have this guy. I mean, 0-3. I think I can't remember a stat, but they're like one of the rare teams to be in a preseason top 10 and start out 0-3.
No, they're the first team to be in the preseason top 10 and lose 3 consecutive games to unranked opponents.
Even better.
I'm gonna say this. I doubt, but the sad part about it is I don't think Norville's going anywhere for the next year or two. And I will give you the reason why. Florida State
And
is not Florida. It's not Georgia. It's not Alabama. Are you seeing what I'm going? That man has a $65 million buyout.
Yeah, he's had a lot of money.
Florida State has
so they kind
had,
of stuck.
yeah, they've had in Florida. Yes, they're Power Five. Yes, blah 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 blah, all that special stuff. But at the end of the day, it does not. It does. They don't. Their alumni base and their boosters are going to be hard pressed to pull out another 60, another 20, 30, 40 to $60 million buyout. Texas can do it. Alabama can do it. Georgia can do it. University of Florida used to be able to do it. Name another school, bro. Ohio State,
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Uh, we said Texas. There's only certain schools that can just constant can spend that type of money because they have their booster base. Florida
I
State's
tell you
not one.
what. I tell you what. This Florida State game may be a matchup of two interim coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Brooks, I'm telling you, I don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger on a 60. That's a big buyout for them. Because if they do, if they take the buyout, what they gonna do? Hope like hell they can run an interim coach for a couple years.
I mean, that's just man. That's a long. They keep losing
Miami,
like this. I mean, what are
Miami
they
don't have
supposed to
money
do?
like that. Miami don't have money like that. Hot tub. Miami's probably worse off than Florida State. That's probably why you see the coaches you see coming through Miami.
I mean, my coach got booed off the field at Florida yesterday. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not going to last much longer. I get you with the buyout. It's a hefty buyout. But you start losing and donors start throwing some money,
Mm.
Well, Brooke,
and so they
Brooke,
can handle the buyout.
But that'll be the third, fourth one in almost 6, 7 years. Come on, that's a lot.
No, I mean I get it.
A lot.
That speaks to like the athletic director. You know, who are you hiring? What's your process? You know,
Yeah.
you keep hiring these guys and firing them and still paying them. I mean, you know.
Well, Brooks, you mentioned Colorado and said, there's too much talk about it. So we're going to talk about it for like a few minutes.
God, man.
Brooks,
All
right, so
I'm about to turn my camera off, man. I'm so tired of talking about this, man.
I understood, but here's the question, y'all. So they did win last night, and we kind of feel like, depending on the level of competition, what's going to happen. How much longer should this go on?
what should go on?
I mean, should they? How long will Colorado and Coach Prime be on the same team?
Until he gets ready to leave. I mean, okay.
Is that where you're at with it? You don't think they'll move on if they continue to get handled by other schools? You know
It's
what I'm saying?
freaking
Get beat
it's
down?
freaking Colorado. He has let me give you an example. I saw a stat. It
Yeah,
was very interesting.
Colorado not forcing him out.
No, let me tell you. Do you know that a ticket to get into the game for the Georgia game the Alabama game last weekend was $90 to get a ticket? If you wanted to get into the game, that was probably the scalping cheapest price you can get into the game for. That's not a cheap ticket, right? For a college game
Not
and
at all.
nosebleed, blah blah. Okay, you know what it
Hmm.
was for Colorado last week?
What
Take a
was it?
guess.
I don't know,
$170.
150,
192.
Huh? What'd
It
you
was
say, Coach?
$192.
I thought it was 170. It was 192. I thought Alabama was 90 and Colorado was 100. Either way, again.
Either way, it was way more than $100.
So at that point, do you really think Colorado's going to get rid of him? The revenue alone that he's bringing into there makes a big difference. This is Colorado had about a 10 to 15 years with McCarthy that they were considered a factor. Maybe.
Cordell
It's more like
Stewart.
6 years.
very maybe.
Cordell Stewart, Sal Nooses, Bieniemy, Rashawn
Right.
Alum,
So long. Yeah,
Marco Cole.
you're going back 90 years now.
But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is if he can if he can go 5, 6 games, win a bowl, play a bowl, and keep the interest and keep the money coming in,
Yeah.
he's as far as Colorado is, they're successful. They're just tired of being 0 and forever.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean,
And
there's obvious reasons why.
they're becoming a topic.
There's,
And as that
yeah,
conference
yeah.
cannibalize itself, eventually what's going to happen is if he stick there and they stay there, they're going to just by default become one of the two, three powerhouses in the conference just because everybody left.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we'll
not
definitely
strong.
have to
It's
see.
not a strong
Yeah,
conference.
we'll definitely have to see how how long it takes for that to pan out. But yeah, they definitely brought Deion in for financial reasons. There's no question about that. But what happens when all that luster falls off, or let's say it does fall off, where it's no longer even newsworthy or something like that, noteworthy to be there? Will people continue to pay $170 to go to the game
And they'll get
if the
rid of his
luster
ass.
rock lays off?
And they'll get rid of his ass.
All right,
But
okay,
you got at least this season. What's going to next year? Because next year you won't have the father son combo, all that. Because Shador will be gone, and probably Hunter will
Travis.
be gone, and
Hmm.
then Horn may possibly be gone. You'll have so it'll be more of the program and the coach. You know what I'm saying? All the stories are going to change next year. The thing is, as long as he can generate a new story every year, as he does, because one thing about Prime is Prime knows how to sell Prime. That's it. As long as he can keep himself in the media eye and keep things make it a destination for reporters to go to, they'll be okay and they'll keep him. But I'm under the opinion it might be better that he loses the Horns and Shador and actually get back to coaching a team without having that distraction as a head coach. Because most of his conversations as a head coach is about those kids.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
just my opinion.
All right. Well, there we go. So that's pretty much everything that we had to cover today.
No,
We
no,
get
no,
some
no, 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 no. I know we
what?
didn't. If we're gonna cover Coach Prime in Colorado and skip over the fact of that Texas game,
Oh my goodness, Corey. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Hold on, shot. Hot Tub had a couple comments here. It's ridiculous to pay that kind of money for a college game. I agree. I totally agree with
I
that.
don't agree. Let me tell you like this.
I
I'm gonna
I
tell you and
I
Hot Tub
agree
one
with
thing.
I agree
It
with
ain't
Tony.
ridiculous. No, it's not.
I
Because let me
agree
tell you.
with him.
As long as somebody's willing to pay it, you can offer it. If it was a ridiculous price, nobody would have paid that $170. That's just the way life goes. So get out of the mindset of what you will pay for it and realize it's ridiculous to you, but there's somebody that paid $170 for that ticket, and therefore that means that ticket is
So
worth
guess
at
what?
least
There was fans
$170.
in that building.
It's
Huh?
ridiculous for amateur to watch amateurs play football
How you
because
gonna put? But
no matter how good we think they're playing out there on that field, they're still
how are you?
amateurs. And
How are you
if
gonna
I'm gonna
tell
pay that kind
me
of money, I want to pay it for the highest level of play.
you want to pay it?
That's my opinion on that. Yes,
You want to
yeah,
pay?
right.
But
That's my
again,
opinion on that.
But
That's why I say
again,
I agree with Hot
I
Tub.
can walk up. Me and Kobe can walk up and go up. We can go up in there and get our Magic the Gathering cards, and I can pull out a $300 piece of cardboard, and somebody be like, "It ain't worth it." Oh, it's worth it. Am I lying, Kobe?
Oh,
It's
It
worth
all
it.
depends.
I
It
bet we
all
leave with
I
some
did.
depends.
money.
I didn't say what I ain't say the worth like or if somebody will pay it. I'm saying that in my opinion, that's a
Right.
ridiculous amount of money to watch
That's why
amateurs
I
play.
fall. Well, it don't
Because
matter.
those
The amateur.
throws, the inaccurate throws, receivers wide open, like you know this at the pro level, is the window shrinks, right? It shrinks
So
from a dollar bill to a
you watch
pebble.
the Panthers game?
Like the windows of everything.
What is the SEC media package worth?
We'll have to
Billions,
look it
right?
up, put it out there. We'll put it out there. But that's
Billions.
two different things. That's two different things, Corey. I get what you're saying about how much money is being generated, but I
No,
mean,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about.
would you pay $350 to go to a wrestling match, a pro wrestling match?
I
But
won't pay
hey,
$20, but I
hey.
won't pay
Because
$50 to
Who's
go to a pro
who's
match.
because
wrestling? Is Roman
because
That's
Reigns
not
that's
my
going to be
thing.
in the main event?
because that's what's being sold right now. $5 million worth of sales already made for a match coming up next month. It's not even sold
I
out yet. So I'm just
Roman
saying.
Reigns the main event. If Roman Reigns the main event, then I'm paying that money.
But well, well, you're right there, Cole. They did, but
See,
they did pay. But they did pay it before the Roman Reigns was even announced that he was even going to be there. So it was already paid. So that's what I'm saying. So I get what you're saying, Coy. But for me to watch amateurs play,
hold on, hold on.
I'm not paying I'm not paying
Hold
170
on.
dollars.
Hold on a second, Tyrone. If you pay $200 for a haircut, that means that haircut you pay for is worth $200 because you choose to pay $200 for it. Now you may not pay $200 for a haircut, but whatever the price, whatever you sold that product at that time, it was that value. It's just the way the game go.
I think we're agreeing to two different things, but I get your side of it. I do. I get your side of it.
Because what I'm going to tell you is, if I go out here and buy a piece of memorabilia that's for $20, and this guy walks up to me and say, "Oh, I'll give you $1,000 for this memorabilia," am I going to turn around and say, "This ain't worth $1,000"? No.
You're not.
Here's
You're
my
gonna sell it
grand.
for what you can sell it for. But
Exactly.
but that's
Therein
not.
lies.
But that
That's
wasn't
it.
my. But that wasn't my argument.
The
That's
argument
all I'm
is
saying.
if it ain't worth it. My argument is if somebody pays it, it's worth it. It's going to always be that way.
Yep. Well, it's definitely worth being on here today.
All right,
Talking
but
sports, guys.
let's talk about my guy Archie Manning Jr.
Hey, that man
Please
is
do.
that man. Calvin. He don't move like a man. He don't play like a man. That is that one of them guys.
No, he plays like a Manning, but he
No.
don't play
He
like
more
the ones
versatile than
we
that.
see.
Hey,
He
he
plays
more
like the daddy.
Hey,
Calvin, how they say it? Like, he got a little spice to it.
hey. He doesn't.
Colby.
He doesn't run. He definitely doesn't run like a man.
Exactly. He got
Oh,
a little
yes, he
spice to
does.
him.
He runs like a Manning.
He's
I
faster
ain't
than
seen
him.
Peyton Manning run for 67 yards ever.
Go.
I ain't
I'm gonna
seen.
give you two. I'm gonna give you two homework and go Google Archie Manning. Okay,
Hey,
go
Archie
Google
No.
it.
I ain't
Manning.
saying his dad. I ain't saying Peyton Manning's dad.
His
Archie Manning ran
granddaddy.
for his life. His granddaddy now ran for his
Okay,
life
and
in the
also
NFL.
I'm talking
let's
about
keep it
Peyton
let's keep it
Manning.
a buck.
Peyton Manning can
Let's
get a
keep
little juke move.
let's keep it a buck. Cooper was very athletic. Cooper just got sick.
Well, Cooper wide receiver? Didn't he turn
Yeah,
into wide
Yes.
receiver?
Cooper was a
Yeah.
wide
Yes.
receiver though. He was athletic. He was a wide receiver. Can't compare him. He was a wide receiver.
But no, we're talking about him being athletic and moving around. We're talking about
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get is what I'm trying, and even the brothers say Cooper was a better athlete than both of them.
Agreed. Yep.
All right, what I'm trying to say is Peyton and Eli was the leftovers.
They didn't get that G. Okay.
they
I
they
got
get
you.
they only got they got like okay. Archie was a hell
They
of a
got the
quarterback
orange
that could
talent,
run.
but they left everything else.
No, they get all the throwing talent. They got the leftover talent. What I'm trying to tell you. Cooper got all the talent, and then whatever spilled over, they got, and they just sprinkled between the last two, which is a couple of okay. You can quarterback, and you're a little bit smart, and you can go from there. And see, even Eli didn't even get none of the smarts. He could just play quarterback a little bit. He was kind of goofy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this junior got the stuff straight down the pipeline. He got it straight cut off the boat.
Hey, he definitely looking legit. And I remember he came in for a visit to UGA. I thought that's where he may end up going, but he chose Texas. And maybe a little foreshadowing because maybe Texas probably already told him, by the time you start playing, we'll be in the SEC. So you'll still get to play in the conference like your like Peyton did and like
Well,
Archie did and so on and so forth. But
I think
what
no
do you think?
Archie.
Do you think he's gonna be the QB1 though, Coy?
Not this
I mean,
season.
he not this season, and not and then the biggest thing is I think if the Manning family wanted to start some shit, they could, but um Archie Archie Senior and I'm sure Cooper by default is pretty much looking at I want him under Starkeesian because I want him to develop as a quarterback, and I'm not really worried about him starting right away. You know what I'm saying? Let him
Yeah. Yeah.
let the mental catch up with the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's beyond the way that the two times we've seen him get in games this year, we can honestly say that the boy might be something special. You know what I'm saying? Might
Yeah.
be. I'm going to say might be because we haven't seen him we haven't put the frog in the pot and see it boil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is he gonna jump
Well,
out or is he
well,
gonna just cook?
Well, also, at the same time, like you can see he's a talent, but also he's in a great situation in Texas because Texas is going to continue to add talent on that roster on the defense and offensive end. So not only he'll have something to work with or something to help carry him as well. So it's turned out to be a good combination. You
The
know what I'm saying?
number
With the rise of
the num
Texas,
the
back into
number
the scene.
one I'm of the belief the number one thing for a young quarterback is stability and time. Most people
Yep.
believe you throw them in fire at first. I believe if you give them if they got stability as in a head coach, office coordinator, blah blah blah, and they got time to learn what is asked of a quarterback in this situation, they
Hmm.
tend to be better versus saying this kid. I mean, it works out. It works out. Some works, but in my opinion, what I would like to do. But some, I mean, there are kids that you can just put in there and they just run for their lives, and then we find out that's that guy. But we also find out they tend to get to the next level and struggle a little bit longer because they have always been thrown to the fire versus been cultivated. It's hard to cultivate. It's hard to cultivate a player that's stuck in his ways before you get him.
Yeah. Okay. Cole,
Mm,
it sounded like you was
hot
excited
tub.
about
Hold on, hold on,
Cole.
hold on. Hold on. Hot tub. Eli was never better than Peyton. Eli was a train wreck.
I bet you he's saying it because of those Super Bowls. I bet you that's what
Right.
he's saying.
Exactly.
But yeah, but Peyton had to be the man out of all of them. All right, but yeah, Cole, you had any statements here about Manning, about Arch?
He's one of them guys. Soon as he starts next season, we'll put him in the Heisman conversation. Pre Heisman watch list, but he's one of them guys. Nothing else to say
Yeah,
about that.
And
yeah,
Kobe got some.
absolutely.
And Kobe, what you got to talk about? Because Mister 411 forgot and just ran over it.
What? I got two things to talk
Well,
about, but what are you specifically saying?
No, what's the first one?
Georgia State beats Vanderbilt. Another
Bingo.
SEC team. SEC team goes down. I was at that game, by the way, too. First of all, Mr. One, if you don't mind, give you a little story time.
yes, please do.
Nice rainy day, gloomy day. Okay, I'm cut to the chase. Um, went to the game. Great game. Mr. Coach Devin Gee, props to you, shout to you. Turned this program around. Georgia State is now 2-1, taking down another SEC team 36-32. Great game. The pass game was fun. We got to a slow start in the first quarter, but once we got into that second quarter, we got a run game going. The run game got going. Our pass game got going. We had a couple deep shots to the end zone. Quarterback played good. O line was having great protection. Couple, hiccups here and there when you're playing an SEC team, SEC team, no matter who it is. They have been in that fire with Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, LSU, no matter what team it is. So that you're gonna have to play your best A game if you want to have it upset, if you want to beat the underdogs. So yes, 30-32, big win for Georgia State. The SEC team go down.
So
I got to be in the halftime
I got to
show.
be in the halftime show.
Oh, it's the echo.
Oh,
Okay.
the echo.
I gotta be in the
Okay.
halftime show
I got to be in the
with the
halftime
Wild
show
Mark crew
with the Wild Mark
and
crew
got to perform Kick 'em Out the
and got to
Classroom in the
perform Kick 'em
halftime.
Out the
So it was a great
Classroom in the
experience right there.
halftime. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Halftime show, great experience right there with the halftime show. Met B Simone, met Emmanuel Hudson. Great
Oh,
overall experience.
yes, sir. And a shout out to Dale McGee. Corey and I are very familiar with Dale. We all attended the same school, and big job. I mean, huge job there. Congratulations to Georgia State in doing that, uh, defeating an SEC opponent. And hey, man, your school's on its way. You know what I'm saying? They're on their way, Georgia State.
Good things to come. Good things to come. And my last
Absolutely.
thing, Mississippi State versus Toledo. Shout out Bryce Pollock, starting corner sophomore for Mississippi State. He graduated the same class as me, 2023. Big D1 recruit. Um, one of my close friends. So shout out to him.
Good job. Good job. All right. Any more? Anything else before we close out for today?
Kobe got one more, don't he?
I do.
You said you had two things. I mean,
I did. Mississippi State.
oh, okay. Then we were a wrap.
All right, very good. Great job, gentlemen. Appreciate you again for another week. And I'm off to the next studio, but I definitely appreciate you
I'm
guys.
sorry. Ah, Mr. Brooks left. But Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Atlanta Falcons. I ain't get to say that. had to put that out there, man. I don't care if we didn't score a touchdown. We put points on the board and we left there with a win. Great experience, one of the best experiences of my life. Love the atmosphere. Great job, Steelers. We're going 2-0 this week, baby. 2-0 starting today.
Hey, did your team take over the stadium?
Oh, we did. We
Did
did.
your
Cameron
fans and all
Brown
that?
was
Yeah.
everywhere. Black and yellow was everywhere. You heard what TJ Watt said. TJ Watt said he basically played a home game on Sunday.
All right, that's a typical Atlanta home game. All right, we definitely appreciate it. Hey guys, man, excellent job, man. Glad to have you on. I can't wait for next week, man. As we inch closer to the Georgia Alabama matchup, that's 2 weeks out. So we're definitely gonna preview that next week as well. All right, for Coy and Kobe,
Hey, Calvin,
Cole from the low.
Mr. 1 didn't tell me he was at the Atlanta Dream game.
Oh man, yeah, I was there too, man. I was there. I was at the Dream game, man. We're gonna have to link up and catch one on, man. Doesn't look like they're gonna make the playoffs. Looks like it's gonna look like the Washington Mystics done moved into that 8 slot. But we'll say that for another episode. But yeah, I'll catch you out there sooner than later, man.
I'm Mr. 1.
All right, well, so for Cole and Brooks, Case, and Coy, we bid you all a great day. We'll catch you later. Enjoy the NFL action, and we'll catch you all next week. Triple option.